My name is Hoppy Pullman from East London, South Africa. I run the Xhosa Gospel Mission, reaching the Xhosa people in the surrounding areas of East London. 40 years ago, if you had to ask me about if I would work with the Xhosa people, I would say no, because I had a tremendous hatred for the Xhosa people. But since the Lord saved me, He removed the hatred and gave me a deep love for the Xhosa people. Our mission stands on 4 legs. The first leg is church planting and church building, construction work. The church planting is in the informal settlements or the squatter towns or the shanty towns, where we go in and start up a church, and eventually we have a building for them. So at the moment we have 4 of these works going, and there's need for much more work. The other leg stands on the preschool. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of children in these areas that have no formal education at all. And we try and work with the children by bringing them into school and prepare them for grade 1. So we have a total of 135 children that we care for daily, feed them, and also many times we clothe these children. The other leg is the AIDS, HIV and AIDS. 1 in 10 people in South Africa suffer from HIV and AIDS. And that's quite a staggering number of people. When people have the disease, many folk are thrown out of the homes, rejected by families, because there's always a stigma attached. So we have started a small little hospice that runs completely and totally by faith, trusting God to provide for the children as well as adults. And we have seen many remarkable things happen in the home, but it's a very sad ministry, because you watch many of the people who come to the homes die. But at least they can die with some dignity and not die being rejected by family and friends. But the most exciting part of it all is now the children's ministry with the foster care children's homes. We have now completed 3 homes, and we look after a total of 19 children. The reason we have 3 homes and 19 children is to recreate family life that the children never experienced before. And it's always a joy to see how happy the children are within the homes, and how the mothers have adapted to the homes and caring for the children. Now, the reason why how I started with the children's home ministry is through a little girl called Mahle. Mahle means the beautiful one. She was abandoned when she was 3 years old, and down in one of the valley villages, very, very ill with HIV and AIDS, abandoned by her granny and aunt and uncle, and they left her to die. And we found her, and eventually Pastor James, one of the pastors, took her into his home, and she lived there for 10 months. After 10 months, the family came back and reclaimed her, and we had to give her back to the family. That was in the beginning of October of that year. And by middle of November, I had buried her. She had died. And at the funeral, which was so sad, and as we were lowering her little body into the grave, one of the old men asked me, what am I going to do about the children who are sick? And that's how it got me thinking about starting up foster care homes. But it took several years before we were able to do it. But now we have 3 beautiful homes and to care for the children. In the Eastern Cape, the area which we live in, we have some 800,000 orphan children or children who are vulnerable to abuse and neglect or child-headed households. And we try and make a difference to some. And there's a story that goes something like this, that there was a little boy with his parents down on the seaside, and they were just enjoying the day in the sun, when they noticed that in the night before there was a storm out at sea, and all the starfish were washed ashore. And the father was tired of playing with the sun and told him to put the starfish back into the water. And while he was doing that, enjoying himself, a gentleman comes along and says to him, "Son, what are you doing?" And he says, "Sir, I'm putting the starfish back into the water." He says, "What difference can you make? Look at all the starfish. They're going to die from the hot sun." And the little boy picked up another one, ran to the water's edge and tossed it into the water, came back to the gentleman and said, "Sir, I made a difference to that one." And that's what we're trying to do, make a difference to some of the children who are suffering in our country.